Welcome to Scanner School session number 60. This is a little bit of a different episode. I interviewed my wife to get her point of view on the scanning hobby, and I'm intentionally doing it this week because it's Valentine's Day this week. So if you listen to this podcast and you haven't yet done anything, consider this your little friendly reminder to make sure you go out and you get your little cards and your boxes of chocolates and your roses and whatever else it is that you may happen to do. This is my little friendly reminder to you. Before we start this podcast, I want to remind you also that Scanner School is sponsored by East Coast Pagers. Now, East Coast Pagers is one of my online companies. East Coast Pagers sells Unication, Apollo, and Swiss Phone paging products. From the Unication G1 pager, G4, and G5 P25 pagers to the new Swiss Phone S Quad Voice, the S Quad 360. And don't forget about those old school PogSag pagers. We carry them all. So go to eastcoastpagers.com. Again, it's eastcoastpagers.com for your own individual or department quote. Now, on to Scanner School. So as I said in the intro, this week is a little bit different. We're playing around with the formatting a little bit. As you can tell, there's no intro music on this one. And I did my read-in at the beginning. So right now we're into the meat and the potatoes, so to speak, of the podcast. And also we're trying something new. I figured I would get a different perspective on the scanning hobby. So I tapped my wife on the shoulder and said, let me pick your brain for a minute here. Let's see what, the scanning hobby looks like from the other point of view here. So again, this interview may be a little bit cringeworthy, but there are some key takeaways on here. Some things that she had noted that you can play back, or at least I can play back in the future. And I also give you guys some pointers too on some arguments that you may be able to, or some point of views that you may be able to point out, as well as maybe, why do we need so many radios, and what a good comeback is to that. And those kinds of things as well. But again, there's a couple of key phrases in there I want you to take note of, because we're going to talk about them at the end of the show as well. So again, at the end of the show, I have something really exciting for you guys as well, a little Valentine's Day gift from me to you. And that's that. So here's about a 10-minute interview with my wife and myself, talking about scanning and the hobby and what it does to a relationship. Enjoy it. We've been, married for, seems like forever? Dating.
Almost 16 years.
And then dating for how long?
4.
So for almost 20 years?
Yep.
When exactly do you think that you discovered this little problem I have with scanning? Was it right away? Do you remember when?
Not right away. And not even in the first few years of marriage. I would say in the past 8 or 10 years.
So I did a pretty good job at hiding it?
Well, when we were just dating and not living together, it was very easy to not let on.
What in general do you think about the hobby?
I think it's a good hobby. I think it's there's definitely things I like about it and things I don't like about it.
Do you think it's a strange hobby?
No, because I think so many people are interested in this and the same thing as you, and I think it's beneficial to a degree, but not when you become obsessed over it.
So define the difference between being obsessed with it and to a degree. Where do you draw the line?
Being obsessed with it is when we're trying to have a conversation and you shush me so that you can listen to the call that's coming through. That's a little bit overboard.
That's not normal?
I don't think so.
What if it's as you would say, a good call? What happens then? Is that excusable then?
No, you still shouldn't shush me just to hear a call.
Not even if it's a good one?
No, because you have it downstairs. You're recording anyway, so you can.
But I can always ask you what when I'm done listening. As a hobby, you think it's okay as long as it's not obsessive.
Yeah.
So you figured what? You knew about this within the last 10 years?
About 10 years is
Yeah.
when I really saw you starting to pick up with it.
How long do you think it was before you realized I had a problem with it?
I would say in the last 6 or so years, and it's progressively gotten worse since then.
So in other words, what you're trying to say is that I did a really good job of hiding this
Yes.
for a very long time.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden one day you realized, holy crap, this is a lot of radios. And I remember when we first got the house, you're like, we're not putting any antennas in the house. It's never happening. There's no antennas in the
Yeah.
house. So I had to put the antenna in the attic. And even then, you weren't even picking up on the fact of what was progressively going to get worse here.
No.
Not at all.
All I knew at that time was I didn't want anything on the roof that was going to be an eyesore
Well,
on the house.
it's just stuff on the house, an eyesore. To find that, is one too many?
No, one is okay, but when you were talking about a tower in the yard,
I have one in the yard.
that's just too much.
It's just laying in the wrong direction. One of these days, it's going up. You mark my words. What do you find, because we talked about it a second ago, an interesting call? What do you find, if anything, interesting about this hobby?
I think in general the hobby's interesting because I tend to be nosy and like to hear what's going on, especially in our own neighborhood with neighbors and things.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that interesting if it's a call that's close by. I like to hear what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But the calls I'm really interested in is like, car accidents and like that kind of thing. Because you know how I am. Every time we pass an accident on the road, I always have to look and, see what's going on. So those are like the more interesting calls, but definitely the ones that are in our neighborhood or family members on a family member's block. If you hear a call coming through there.
So how would you know that call's coming through if I can't listen to it? And all right, so I mean, you definitely find the hobby a little bit interesting, but I mean, it's you just seem to know where the power buttons are and the volume buttons are. No matter what radio I put in the kitchen, it doesn't matter which one it is. You always seem to be able to figure it out.
Of course, because you have them going up, you have the volume set up. It's sometimes high, and I have to, when I'm trying to do something or concentrate on something, or at night when I'm trying to go to sleep and hearing that going off, I have to turn it down.
So that's why you always lower it?
Yeah.
What's an acceptable volume?
If I can't hear it from the bedroom and the radio's in the kitchen, that's an acceptable volume.
So as long as you can't hear it.
As long as I can't hear it from another part of the house.
If it's anything lower than that, you're fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
So how come when you lower the volume, you lower it so you can't even hear it when you sit next to it?
Well, an acceptable volume that you would put it on, I can't hear it at night when I'm trying to go to sleep. An acceptable volume for me to put it on is so that I can hear the TV in the living room.
Okay. So besides the volume, what are some of the other things that bother you about the hobby?
That it's going to sound like come out wrong, but that you put so much time into scanning, but it does, I do know that it takes a lot of time, of your time, to keep up with everything and with all the newest radios and, helping other people, which is a good thing, but it just takes up a lot of your time.
Right.
In addition to your regular day job.
Well, it's a hobby. So it doesn't bother you I buy more radios?
No.
I could buy as many as I want.
You can buy as many radios as you want. I don't really care. I know you like to get the new ones that come out and,
Mm-hmm. Because I got the disease.
So you can buy whatever radios and things like that you want. I don't, have a problem with that.
You know I got this on tape, right? So I
Yes, you can play it back anytime.
What really does bother you, besides the fact that I invest a lot of time? Is there anything else about this that bothers you? And besides having too many antennas on the roof?
I don't think so. I mean, it pretty much is, kind of all around the house. It's taken over the basement. It's, the radio in the kitchen. And
So is there any room in a house where I shouldn't have a radio?
I don't think there's a room you shouldn't have it, but certain times, like you shouldn't, during the night,
Mm-hmm.
you shouldn't have a radio on in the bedroom when we're trying to sleep.
But I don't have one in there.
Or, well, you're just asking in general where you shouldn't have.
Right.
So I don't think there's a problem with the rooms. I just think it's just like certain times that it's not appropriate to have a radio on.
Right. But you have to admit, though, I am good at it because the only one I have in the kitchen is just a local fire department. It's not scanning the entire world either. It's just
Right.
one
Yep.
department. So you got to give me credit on that one. So
Yep.
even if it does go for the middle of the night, it's only for one thing.
But I make sure to lower that volume.
Oh,
So.
of course you do. I'm sure the minute I leave the house, you lower the volume. Being that you've lived with me for too long and you kind of
Way too long.
see where I snuck this in under the radar, what advice would you give to any other significant others, to those who have the hobby, being that they're dating or they're married or anything like that? What should they be? I don't know. Just what kind of words of advice would you give them?
I
Run,
would say
cover your ears,
not run.
find the
I would
paracord.
say set limits as to where all these radios are going to be stored and when they're going to be on. Maybe some people wouldn't have a problem with their partner having the radio in the bedroom and it's on all night, or maybe they don't care if the volume is loud, but if those things do bother you, then you need to say something. I mean, it's a good hobby. It's not a hobby that, some people may have, like gambling or something that could get them into trouble. It's a very good hobby. And it's good to know about what's going on in the neighborhood. But, there should be limits set right away so that there aren't any, you don't run into issues and, arguments and things like that over the scanners and just the hobby in general.
So let's flip around that last question. So for anybody who's in a hobby, who's in the scanner hobby, what word of advice would you give them so they're easier to live with, so that they're not constantly getting in trouble? Like, what would 3 things be that they can do right now so that they can make somebody else's life easier and they're not?
3 things.
Yeah.
Turn down the volume.
Yeah, I think we've discovered that. Don't say unplug the radio.
I wasn't going to say unplug the radio. Listen to your partner in regards to your hobby. If they feel that it's taking too much time away, or that you've kind of gone overboard with it, maybe try and listen to them and take a little bit of a step back, as hard as it will be, because it's something that you love and it's a hobby and you enjoy doing it, but you also have to make time for other things in the relationship and with family. And that's pretty much it. I mean, just, I guess, communicate with each other about the hobby, and or maybe you'll have a partner who's interested in the hobby, which would be great.
So in other words,
it doesn't mean that just because one person's interested in the hobby doesn't mean that their partner's not interested in it. They could luck out and find someone who has a hobby, the same hobby as them. And
so what you're trying to say really is it's not a good idea just to hear your wife and listen to your radio, but you should listen to both?
Yes, listening is key.
So how many radios is too many radios?
You really only need a few. I mean,
how many shoes are too many shoes?
Why would you need more than 3 radios?
Why would you need more than 3 pairs of shoes?
You have shoes for different things, different.
You got different radios for different things and different, yeah. So aren't you lucky you don't take one out in the car or out, we'll go for a walk or...
You've done that before.
Yeah. When's the last time
you don't do it all the time, but you have done it in the past.
Right. When's the last time I did
annoying.
that? When's the last time? When's the last time?
I don't know when the last time was. Probably since before Lauren was born, maybe.
So beyond 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do remember it.
Yeah.
It sticks in my mind.
I have permission to buy as many radios as I want, but I shouldn't need more than 2 or 3? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I don't see why you would need more than 3 radios, but you can buy whatever
on at the same time or just in general?
In general, I don't see why you would need more than 3 radios to hear what you want to hear.
Okay. But
why would you need to hear things that weren't even in your town or surrounding towns? Why would you even...
Why do you need a whole closet full of pocketbooks?
We're not talking about pocketbooks.
I understand
We're
that.
talking about radios.
But I don't see why you
Why
need
would you
more.
need to hear something that's happening in Hempstead when we don't live anywhere near there?
Because what if something's good happening?
Well, I'm sure good things are happening and are happening surrounding towns to us. You're addicted. That's what it comes down to. It's not a hobby. It's an
It's
addiction.
not a hobby, it's an addiction. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to say?
Um,
Am I putting our child on the wrong path with this hobby? Being that she loves to play with all the radios and
and she sometimes likes to listen.
yeah.
She'll ask sometimes if when the radio's on and you have it up
Mm-hmm.
and I forget it's on because a call hasn't come through in a while. Sometimes she'll hear something that's, I guess, interesting to her and she'll ask about it.
Well, that's
So,
good for
and
me.
and walking around with the radio you gave her and with the no battery in it.
So is that a good thing or a bad thing?
She hasn't caught the bug yet, so it's fine.
As long as you say so. So is there anything else before we go?
Um, I think that's it. I'm sure you want to get back downstairs to your radios now.
All right. So is that cringeworthy enough for you or not? It's really difficult. I discovered that when you're interviewing somebody face to face, your whole dynamic changes when you listen to it back on the playback. So we're all learning here. That was my first interview face to face. It's kind of different than interviewing somebody virtually. But with that said, there's a couple of key phrases that were or different things that were said during an interview. One of them was, when my wife complains that I listen to the scanner, but I don't really listen to her, and it had me thinking. So I got something now. I actually made a piece of merchandise that you can actually go out now and purchase. There's hats, mouse pads, coffee mugs, travel mugs, T-shirts, and sweatshirts with the phrase on it, I hear my wife, but I listen to my scanner. So if you want a shirt, a mug, or something like that that says, I hear my wife, but I listen to my scanner, go to scannerschool.com/shop. Again, scannerschool.com/shop. And that's where you can purchase these items. A lot of them are sitting about the $20 range, so they're pretty affordable. And also, because this is the first week that we have opened the shop, there's a 15% off coupon that you can apply, and that will be at the very top of the webpage as well. So again, scannerschool.com/shop. And as things progress, we'll be adding some more items into there as well. But, I figured that if somebody needs to get you a Valentine's Day gift, why not get them a shirt that tells you exactly how you feel? But again, we'll be bringing some more items into the shop as well. And again, everything there helps support Scanner School. Now, again, if you want to help support us in other ways too, you can go to scannerschool.com/support, where you can help support us by buying from Amazon. You can help us by buying from Scanner Master, and also you can help us by going on Patreon. And again, at some tier levels in Patreon, you will get some of the swag that we are producing now, some of the novelty items. So I want to thank our continued Patreon supporters, Brian Southworth, Dan, James Felling, Ken Newberry, Kenneth Fowler, MT Bono, Mark Beebe, Raymond Hill, and William R. Cand. Thank you so much again for your continued support. Now, again, if you also haven't noticed, my YouTube channel is growing. I have several videos now. I did an unboxing video of the SDS 200. That was just delivered to my house last week. So if you haven't checked it out yet, you can go to scannerschool.com/YouTube. Make sure you're over there, you click subscribe, and you click on the bell. This way you know when there's new videos showing up. So now that I have the SDS 200, I already have one video up there, which is the unboxing. I have another video up there, which is looking at the keypad, because a lot of people are complaining about the keypad brightness. And I have some other videos that are going to come out revolving around the SDS 200, as well as some other pieces of equipment. So if you have any suggestions on what you would like to see, you can either email me directly, phil@scannerschool.com, or you can go onto our Facebook community or group, which is scannerschool.com/Facebook group, and just let me know what you'd like to hear in there as well. So with that, that's all for the week, and we will continue next week with our regularly scheduled programming. Again, you can go and purchase your shirts, your coffee mugs, anything else at scannerschool.com/shop. This is Scanner School, a podcast where we teach you everything you need to know about the scanner radio hobby. My name is Phil Lichtenberger, and we'll catch you all next week.